I'll just wait for Jenny to come online.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening, Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
Good evening, Jenny.
Okay, are we all?
Anyone talking? I can't hear anybody. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, Jenny,
Yes,
I
we
can
can,
hear you.
Jenny. Yes.
Can you hear us?
Hello? Someone say
Hello.
something.
Yes. Can you hear us, Jenny?
I can't hear anybody.
Ah, must be yours.
Hello?
Hello, Jenny.
Hiya.
We can hear
We
you.
can hear you.
Hello?
We
Wait a
can
minute,
hear
hear
Hear you.
We can
Thank
hear
you. I
you.
can't hear you. Anyone speaking?
Yes.
Yes.
All of us.
Please.
Yes.
Why can't I hear anybody?
Have you got your speakers
Mute.
turned down?
Mute. I think I'm going to go out and come in again.
Okay. You think we should start?
Well, the big hand is on 9 and the little hand is
Hand
on
is on.
7.
Yeah.
So we should start. Good evening. So before we formally start the meeting, you're aware, I'm sure, that Councillor John McNaught passed away recently. John was a strong contributor to this committee and very well liked in the community. So I would like to
Right,
ask
hello?
all of you. Can you hear us, Jenny?
I can't hear anybody.
Okay,
Shall I-
can we? If
I'm
we
going to
can-
Can you
mute
help?
Jenny.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you can mute Jenny, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, as I was saying, John was a very strong contributor to the committee and very well liked in the community. So I'd
Can
like
you
you
help?
to
Can't
ask
hear
all of you.
anybody.
I'd like to ask all of you perhaps to take a minute's silence for us all to remember him.
Can't hear a thing. I can't hear anything.
Okay, thank you. Right, can you hear us now, Jenny? Can Jenny hear us? Okay, so we'll start the meeting formally. So my name is Philip Wicks and I'm chair for this meeting. So may I welcome you all to the November 2020 meeting of the Planning and Community Committee of Woodley Town Council. The Town Council is consulted by Woking and Borough Council on planning applications within Woodley, but the final decision of approved or refused is taken by Woking and Borough Council. We will notify Woking and Borough Council of the committee views, which may include any comments and concerns expressed by members of the community affected by the application. So if anyone has any comments to make on any of the planning applications, then you need to formally write or send an email to the Woking and Borough Council Planning Department, as they will take the final decision on the application. So thank you for your cooperation, and perhaps now we will start on the agenda. Item 1, do we have any apologies?
Yes, we have apologies from councillors Ramuni and Gilder.
Okay, thank you. Item 2, do we have any declarations of interest?
Yeah, number 202705, 35 Cartmel Drive is right opposite the end of my driveway, so I'll sit out on that one.
Right.
Okay.
Jenny was waving her hand, but I don't know if that's because she's got a declaration of interest or whether she...
I don't know. I think she might have just been trying to say she was leaving. She might be going to try and
Yes.
join again because she's gone now.
Yes, okay.
She
So-
was trying to suggest she could not hear anyone again.
She can't hear,
Got a
yes.
problem there.
Okay, so we've just got the one declaration, is that correct? Okay, thank you. Item 3, the minutes of the Planning and Community Committee meeting held on the 6th of October, which is page 5 on your documents. Be happy that I can sign that at some stage in the future. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Item 4 is really to note the minutes of the urgency committee that took place on the 5th of October, which is page 13.
Yep.
All right, okay. And then we move on to item 5, which is the current planning applications. Got several notes on a number of these. Jenny, you're back with us. Can you hear us? No? Okay. Okay, so if we go through them in turn, so the first one I've got is 202330, which is 4 Wildwood Close, which is a single-story rear extension and some roof lights. I've had 3 responses to that, and so far no one's got any comments or objections. So are we happy to say that we're happy with that one? Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Item 2, which is 202385, which is 63 Welford Road. And this is for a single-story rear extension again. And this is Councillor Sartorell's property. But this is squaring across the back of a semi and the removal of existing conservatory. Has anybody got any comments they want to raise? I mean, the comments I've had so far is that no one's got any concerns. Is that okay?
Yep.
Right. Okay. Item 3, which is 7 The Ridgeway, number 202450, which is a household. This is a single-story rear extension. This is very large. It's an extension to a bungalow, but with a new roof height that may overshadow the neighbour number 5. Keith's comment says it's a very large expansion, but the neighbour's a double story, and Carol so far said there's a potential risk of an impact on the neighbour. Does anybody else want to add any comments?
No objections or no comments on the website today.
That's correct. No, I couldn't see anything. So are we happy to say that's okay, just subject to a comment to make sure that the neighbouring property is not overshadowed? Carol?
The observation that we feel it's a very large extension, and therefore there might be impact on the neighbour. I think just to say.
Carol, can you turn your microphone up a little bit, please? You're very low. Can't hear you. Can't hear you hardly at all now.
Oh. Okay, I'll shout at you.
That's better.
What I was saying was I think that we should actually make the comment that we feel that the extension is rather large and that it might impact the neighbour, rather than just go as just the neighbour's comment.
Yeah, yes, I mean that was my original thought, that we've got no real objection, but we're just concerned about the impact it will have on the neighbour. So we're happy to make those comments.
So I just say subject, no, we've got no objection subject to the neighbour, any neighbour comments being taken into consideration.
Yes, yes, we happy with that?
Sorry.
Yes, Carol, go on.
No objection. I just think if we're making a comment that we're concerned about the size of it, then we're not objecting, but maybe it should be worded that we are concerned rather than.
Yes, I mean, that's the way we've been wording them.
Yeah,
Yes,
that would be better. Thank you.
yes. Okay, you happy with that, Linda, with that
Okay,
wording?
yeah, concern about the large size of the extension.
Yes, okay,
It's quite an eclectic road. If anybody's
it is.
walked down there, there is an amazing collection of different types of houses, modern, old, bungalows, two-story. It's, you name it, it's in there.
That's right. Okay, so the next one is 202455, which is 194 Coleman's and this it says subdivision of the site. It's actually a new build. And this is putting a detached house on the side of an existing property, which is I'd call it the end of the road because it's a junction with Oak Drive. So I'm not really sure you could call this an extension, which is what it appears to be worded on the application. I've got comments from Keith saying that he don't think this is classified an extension as a new house. It's too large, out of character, clumsy access to 194 garage and no access to the back garden of 194. Carol's comments, a large extension compared to existing house in terms of floor space and height. If approved, replacement tree and landscaping plans should be requested. I don't know what anybody else has got to comment on that. Carol, do you want to say something?
Just to expand on there was a tree survey report within the information that came with the planning application, and it wasn't as if they were huge trees, but the better ones, there was concern that their roots might be disrupted by building work. There's also a big tree right on the corner of the road there, and I agree totally with what we're saying is that it's too big, etc., etc., and a bit convoluted. But I just want to make sure that we mention the trees in case it gets conditional approval.
So are we saying that we're not happy with it going ahead, and that if it does go ahead, you're not happy, Keith? No.
No, I'm not happy with it going ahead.
No, that's fine.
I think it is somebody trying to cram another house into what's a reasonable amenity space, admittedly of 194, and I think the whole thing then becomes incredibly cramped. The tree point that Carol makes, the actual report goes out of its way to say there are no indications that the roots would be, of that tree specifically, would be at risk. But my main reason is I just think it's out of character. It's too cramped, and it shouldn't really see the light of day as far as I'm concerned.
No, I mean, I was a bit concerned as well. It could encroach on the community land alongside by the time they take that brick wall down, and they're going to start trying to pinch some of the grass that is already there. So are we're minded to refuse, are we?
I am, certainly.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So we're not happy with that one, Linda.
Yep. Okay.
Because I think the words are out of character, lack of space, and if the council do decide to permit it, then our comments are really along the lines of looking after the local trees. And we can quite happy to use Carol's comments about a landscaping plan, I think, to be implemented.
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't quite get that about the landscaping plan. So if planning permission was granted,
Yes.
we'd have concern about that the trees might be affected by the building work. And Carol, what was your comment about a landscaping plan?
That we should ask for a proper landscaping plan.
Okay.
But basically, we're not happy with that one.
Yeah.
Okay. 202501, which is 5 Fairwater Drive. two-story side extension and single-story porch. I've said it's the end. I said the end of the road in inverted commas, so there's no neighbour actually affected. Keith has commented that bedroom 3 is missing, now used as a study. No parking before and after. And Carol's made the comment that we commented on this being too large last time, and the crossover the cycle path for access has been removed. So is Carol happy now? No.
So our comments previously,
Yep.
We recommended refusal. We said the proposed extension is very large and out of keeping with neighbouring properties. That hasn't changed, has it?
No.
We said it's out of character with the street scenes in Fairwater Drive and Kingfisher Drive. So that hasn't changed. And we said vehicles would need to cross the cycle path to access the proposed parking spaces. So that doesn't apply anymore, does it? No.
Yeah, please, we also need to be careful. It has reduced in size because it was refused by WBC,
Yes.
the borough, on size, and they have reduced it. You can argue they haven't reduced it enough, but they definitely have reduced it. And I think it was the design access plan did actually talk about the reduction.
Okay.
So we just need to be careful on that one.
Yeah.
I wasn't particularly concerned about it now, but what does everybody else want to say? Do you want us to say okay, or do you want us to continue to say it's out of character?
Potentially for me, I think what they've done has addressed the issues. My comment about the bedroom 3 missing was just that it's actually gone, according to the plans, from a 3-bedroom to a 2-bedroom, because what used to be bedroom 3
It's
is now
just a
labelled as a study.
It can very easily be put back again. So,
Well, I know.
yeah, so
And my comment about the no parking before and after is currently there's no parking.
No.
And so there is no change on the parking
No.
facilities before the development and after development.
Carol, did you want to say something else?
I think I'm a bit dubious about I expect everybody is about it, the 3rd bedroom being called a study, because if it was 3 bedrooms, then we'd probably look at it slightly differently, and it can easily be changed from that.
Yes, I'm not.
I wasn't, Chairman, I wasn't suggesting that would be a reason
No, it's
for
not.
refusal. It was just
It's
bringing
just a
people's
comment.
attention to something that is stupid, as
Yes.
far as I'm concerned,
Yes,
for the reasons you've talked about.
yes. Okay.
No, we can't use that, obviously, because we can't predict what might happen, although we
No.
might guess. But I still think there's a concern over this extension.
What, size-wise?
Yes.
Okay. So, okay. Well, I don't have an issue. So
Neither do I.
what does everybody? So, do we have to take a vote on this one?
So you got 2 to 1. Depends what
So-
everybody else says, Chairman.
So,
Came with it.
so if you object to the application, can you raise your hand? 1. Okay. If you're happy with the application, can you raise your hand? 4. And Councillor
And 2
Skegg doesn't
and
mind
2
either way. Okay, so
Yeah, I think my stance on that is I do recognise that some effort to make it smaller was I really disliked it last time. I just slightly dislike it now. I think the front of it's been softened a little bit. I can see they've made an effort, and I think you should reward that. If I was them, I'd want to build an extension on the side of it too. So it's kind of it is what it is. I think.
You're not their agent, are you, Richard?
But yeah, maybe I should get into that game. You never know.
Okay, so we're happy to say okay to that one.
So I'm going to say no objections then. Is
Yeah.
that right? Yeah. Okay.
So we're on 202-506, which is 8 Armstrong Way. This is to do with rear windows and parking established. Keith has commented, agree parking in an allocated area. And Carol has commented that parking appears to be in a general parking area without allocated spaces, and the plan makes it look as if the parking is in the back garden. So this is really a variation of a planning consent already. And the only change really is to do with the revision of the parking layout and access, and a few changes to fenestration and elevation. So no one's raised any objection to this. So are we happy to let that one? Yes, no problem with that one.
Yes.
Okay. 2571 is 3 Penrose Avenue. This is the first floor rear and side extension. This increases the size of the first floor to cover most of the ground floor, and in particular the garage. My only comment was a risk of a terrace in effect. Carol seems to think it's sufficiently set back, so it won't actually cause that risk. Keith wasn't too concerned either way. Has anybody got any comments to raise on that, or can we say that was okay? So yeah, so we have no problems with that one, Linda.
Okay.
202572 is 136 Kingfisher. This is a single story rear extension in place of a conservatory. My only comment was that the conservatory covers more of the width than the previous conservatory, but it didn't appear to protrude into the garden any further. So I had no comment on that one. Has anybody else got any comments on that one? Neither Keith nor Carol were particularly concerned. So we can say okay to that one. Fine. 202612, 58 Headley Road. This is a change of use. This is what I believe to be as the Red Rose.
Yep.
And they want to change it from what appears to be from a restaurant to a commercial unit, which could well be a shop. And to the rear, they want to put another floor on and to add some flats. And I think there was it 6 flats? Yes, 6 more residential units. There's apparently already some there, from what I can say. Or there's some rooms there that can be used as flats. Parking at the moment obviously is a problem because there's enough parking there for Red Rose customers just. That's a bit of a squeeze, I think, isn't it? So I don't know what you think. Keith has commented and couldn't see where the shop was going to be on the plans. I think the shop just appears, from what I can see, to replace the restaurant.
Well, no, actually, this is
think,
my interpretation of the plans, the floor plan of ground floor, was that they were just apartments, units of apartments.
Yeah, well, that's right. But
that's why I asked the question: where's the shop going?
Yeah, well, I could only think that the shop was, because it's still got the same facade as the Red Rose has got in terms of windows. I assumed that the shop is just going to replace the front end of the restaurant. That's all I could think.
But there was access to the flats from that first unit.
That's right.
In the front.
Yeah. So
yeah. And my other comment was that the dormer up in the top, for the first floor,
it's quite large. Yeah,
was huge.
Mm.
I personally would refuse this.
Yeah. Carol's made a comment, and I think she wants to say something as well. Carol.
I would support what Keith just said. I think it's a very confusing application, whether or not that was the idea, but trying to work it out is really difficult. I found that there was a site plan, but it didn't show the rear garden of Woodland Court or the rear amenity area or whatever there is. No. So there was no idea of what the impact was on that neighbour. I think we need much more clarity before we can say anything. But if we refuse it, I'm happy.
Okay. So it sounds as if we're minded to say no to that one. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So the reasons are what? Impact on the neighbours, lack of parking, and perhaps lack of clarity in the plans.
And the dormer is
the dormers being too large.
But they need it that large to get those extra flats.
That's right.
To
yes.
obviously make it economically viable.
So one assumes the Red Rose is going.
Clearly, they probably think they get more money doing it this way.
Mm.
But I can't be accused of bias because I don't like hot stuff. So therefore, I'm not a major patron of the Red Rose or any other curry house.
Okay.
I thought it would see the end of the great Woodley rivalry of Red Rose customers and Jalpari customers. I'd be sorry to see it end. I won't tell you which side I fall on that, but I love curry.
You can have my share.
You're okay, Linda? Sorry, I was just waiting for you to finish writing. So, all right. So the next one is 202616, which is 15 Spruce Road. And this is an outbuilding. And there's several comments from the neighbours about its acceptability, with one minor adverse comment. The only comment I've got back from Carol is there's a few comments about conflicting views on height and impact. I didn't see too much of an issue, but yes. Say something?
Yeah, so the only thing I did, well, I mean, it looks really good quality, and I don't think the height is an issue. If you look at the almost on, I just sort of reached for the permitted development guidelines. I think it's under the permitted development guideline height. So, for me, that's not really something to talk about. The only thing I did think was when you look at the layout of it, I wondered if it was a kind of granny annex in the making. I couldn't quite decide whether or not the structure was of that caliber or it was kind of more towards the shed summer house, but it looked really nice. I don't know. But we talked about saying, well, it's got to be for X in the past. I didn't know whether or not that was something we might consider, but I didn't really see a big issue with it, to be honest.
And he'd obviously spoken to several of his neighbours, because there were quite a few letters of positive comment, weren't there?
Yeah.
Whether or not what he's already got is a bit of an eyesore, and they're happy to see something decent to replace it. Of course, one doesn't know, but okay. So we seem to be happy with that one. 202626, 29 to 34 Mannock Way. This was really to do with replacement windows. When I looked at the drawings and I looked at the building, it didn't look as if it had changed very much. Anybody got any comments on that? No. Okay, so we're happy with that. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's a block of flats. There's at least 2 blocks like that. So to me, replacing the windows, obviously the landlord's doing that, is the right thing to do to make give the tenants better quality of life.
That's right. Yeah. 202634 is 19 Warren Road. This is a single-storey extension to form a garage and a single-storey rear extension. I've just said it's a large extension to a detached house, and I couldn't see any detrimental effect to neighbours or the street scene. And nobody else has raised any adverse comments. So are we happy with that one?
I'm happy with it.
Okay, fine. 202643, Little Hungerford Substation off Nightingale Road. Another telecoms mast. Using what appears to be most of the existing fabrication, but to go to the latest telecoms requirements is a requirement of increasing the height by 3 meters. The mast seems to be quite adjacent to the A329. So whether we like it or not, I don't suppose we've got much choice, have we? No, okay.
Just for once, someone's actually positioning a mast a reasonable distance away from houses, rather than in houses' back gardens. So
yes, that's right. I go along with that. Right. 202685. The erection of a retail kiosk and 3 retail pods adjacent to 2 to 6 Hudson Road. This, I had a phone call from Councillor Soane yesterday evening to say this has already been listed, but I don't know what your views are, if they're printable.
Rubbish. Total and utter rubbish.
Bizarre.
Yes.
I just couldn't work out who would want to occupy a retail pod on Hudson Road.
There's a big one round, and there's the biggest one is it Austin Road, isn't it, round the corner? Yeah. That's where the biggest one is. But when I actually drove up to it this afternoon and had a look, and what concerned me about the one in Austin Road is that the fire escape from the first floor above the shops actually comes down there. So you can't have anything there, which will either stop people coming down or stop the fire brigade getting up. So I thought that was quite nastily placed. and someone probably hasn't given sufficient thought to that. But then they've got 3 pods along the front, smaller pods. I suppose it's a bit like a market on the continent, isn't it, where they tend to put these things up occasionally to sell books and magazines and things. But it looked very much as if they could be some sort of like unoccupied slot machine type of thing. So you put your money in, you take your cup of coffee out. So I don't know if they are or what's envisaged, because there's nothing in the plans, is there, to say what they're going to be used for.
I think they're for the future. They're going to be the access point for Woodley subway.
Really?
Yeah.
You could be right. You could be right.
If you're looking for reasons for refusal, I would say it's totally against the street scene. It is totally inappropriate in the sense that I am unaware of anything like that anywhere in the borough. And I think there are potential safety hazards with it taking up so much of the pavement, particularly the ones in front of the existing shops.
Yes. I also don't know whose land they're proposing to build on. Carol?
I think we should add that there's no established need for these retail pods or whatever they're called, and add that to the refusal as well.
That's fair comment. Yeah, that's fair comment. But I also think it's public land. I don't know. I mean, presumably the council have been cutting the grass by the tree at the front of those shops. So presumably the council must consider it's Wokingham land, I guess.
Well, don't forget, Chairman, anyone can apply for a planning application on any land.
That's right.
I tried to do it on Carol's house, but I thought against doing that. You don't have to have ownership. I was going to put a telecoms mast there.
Oh, lovely.
You get good Sky TV.
Well, yeah.
I thought you were going to put a cattery there at one time.
Oh, yeah, I don't know where they are. They've not come to say hello, have they?
Not yet.
Too many fireworks. They're both hiding.
Are you happy with that, Linda?
Yeah, do we want to mention the concern about the fire escape from the first floor?
You can certainly mention that if you wish, yes.
Yeah, it's not blocked, is it? Access inhibited.
It's not blocked, but it's restricted. It restricts the access, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Oh, the other thing that we could also say is parking. Because that section of Hudson Road where the shops already are is always jammed with cars pulling in to get their takeaway, going into the shop there. Even though there's a small car park right next to it, which nobody ever seems to use, putting those pods there will just exacerbate the parking issue.
Yes, yeah, because there's double yellow lines, isn't there, on part of that road down there because of the junction. Because of the junction, yeah, because of the junction.
People ignore it anyway, the double yellow lines. I've seen it many, many times.
Okay.
Do we want to mention the query about is this public land or is that not relevant?
It's not relevant.
No. You don't think so?
No, okay.
Well, no, it's not relevant because, as I said, you can apply for planning application.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Okay.
I was just thinking as a reason for refusal.
But that per se, the fact that you don't own the land is not officially a reason for refusal.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. All right.
It seems odd, but that is the case.
Okay, 202705 is 35 Cartmel Drive. Single story front extension, 2-story side and single story rear. This is moving the entrance door from the side to the front to allow a side extension. It looks quite similar actually to some of the neighbouring properties, so I didn't have any particular concern on that. Keith made a comment that it looked okay to him. Carol's made a comment that she wasn't concerned. So are we happy to say yes to that one?
Yep.
Yes, okay. 202720 41 Roxham Road. Proposed erection of a single-story front extension for a porch and rear extension, including a roof light, to replace an existing conservatory and some changes to windows. There's a slight increase in depth to the rear, but apart from that, I didn't see any particular issue.
No.
You happy with that one?
Yeah.
Okay. 202745, 65 Quinton Road. Applications to change a planning consent. This is to do with the roof line, from what I can tell, and the fact that they wanted the front of the building to match, if that's the right word to use, other buildings in the road, because it looked as if previously it might have been sort of brick or something, and now they've got this white fascia, which I think seems to be fairly typical for that road. So are we happy with that one? Yep, yep, okay. 202755 is 3 Harris Close. This is replacement of a conservatory with a more solid structure. Again, no one's raised any concerns on that. Anybody want to say anything about that one? No? Okay. 202770, which is 10 Nightingale Road. Single story rear extension, 3 roof lights, changes to windows. This is really squaring in some of the rear with an extension, so I didn't see any obvious issue for neighbours. I've had no concerns from 2 other councillors. Has anybody else got anything to say? No? Okay. 202811, which is 34 Colemansmore Lane. This is a detached outbuilding in the rear garden. And an outbuilding to me looks more like a bungalow. So I don't know what you've got. Keith has made the comment there's a new house for family members. Don't like it, but unsure of how we can object. And all Carol said is we need to look at this one. You're muted, Keith.
Just to expand on my comment, is that you can't object for an outbuilding that has been built that clearly has indications that it's going to be inhabited by family members, as long as they take all their meals, the main meals, in the main house. And unfortunately so you can't say it's a dwelling house. And I don't like it, but
it did say, I think on the application, it was going to be subservient to the main house, didn't it?
Yeah, it's for family members, isn't it?
It says for ancillary residential use. Carol, did you want to say anything?
No, I must admit, I sort of kind of copped out to that one because I found it a touch confusing. But I do think that anything that big, or we don't know what it's going to be used for, is that we should say that if it's approved, that it should be ancillary to the domestic use of the property. I mean, but I think we should reiterate that.
Okay, I mean, the actual application did actually say that. So yeah, okay, so we've got no comment, Linda, subject to it remaining ancillary to the main residence.
Yeah.
Okay. 202855, which is 9 Caldbeck Drive. And this is a variation to an existing planning consent, which again appears to relate to roof lines, which I think was to stop it overhanging next door a little bit. I've got no concerns from 2 councillors. Are we happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And finally, 202867, which is 6A Sussex Gardens, which is a single story side and rear extension, conversion of existing garage. It's a large extension, but it still maintains a single story. Keith has commented that it's still a 2-bedroom, but a large extension and lots of glass conservatories. Yes. Carol has commented very large side elevation, impact on neighbour, changes from 2-bed to 1-bed and 2 studies. Application form says existing garage to be converted, however, sufficient off-road parking space remains for at least 1 car. So it looks as if it's 2 professionals, doesn't it, who actually have the property, and they're probably going to run 2 businesses from home. However, it didn't seem out of character with the rest of that particular area, despite the size. But I don't know if anybody else has got any comments.
I just thought all the glass, maybe they're going to be growing some certain green plants.
But you
Every
wouldn't
square inch is covered by glass.
but you wouldn't advertise that, would you, Keith? Carol?
I put in a quote at the end, that's from the planning application, because I didn't think it was very clear how many spaces there are for off-road parking. And it says,
Okay, so your voice has disappeared again, Carol. Sorry.
I will shout at you again.
Yes, please.
I added the quote from the planning application, existing garage to be converted, etc., etc., because it talks about the road parking space remains for at least one car. I think that's a bit, it's not very clear whether it's one big car, one small car, one and a half cars, 2 cars, and I think that ought to be a bit clearer.
Okay, so we should say we have no objection, but we have concerns about the amount of parking space. Are we happy to say that? Yes, we happy with that? Yep. Okay. So that's all the applications I've gone through.
Hey, well done.
Right. So item 6 is planning decisions on page 22. We got them all right. 202326, it suggests that it was contrary to us, but if you recall that the building had what they called a Juliet balcony, which covered about 2/3 of the roof, or 2/3 of the extension, and we made, and our comment was that we're happy with the extension, but we have concerns about the balcony, actually led to the refusal of the application by Wokingham Borough. So that was quite interesting. So they're taking our concerns sometimes as being approval. So maybe we need to think of other words to put.
It is quite, Chairman, it is quite consistent that the borough does not like Juliet balconies.
No.
You know, I've seen loads and loads and loads of applications where they have been refused just on the basis of a Juliet balcony. There's some sort of technical thing, they don't like them.
I think this balcony was big enough for Juliet's family as well, wasn't it? From what I can remember. And Romeo's family. Item 7, the neighbour consultation scheme. So there's just really to note that there's 3 applications gone in for 32 Coleman's-Moor Lane, 10 Crediton Close, and 70 Coleman's-Moor Lane. So we've noted that. Item 8 is tree preservation orders, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes about applications to prune some trees. One is to fell a Norway maple, but most of them are to do with pruning. So those are applications. And there's one here that Wokingham have varied the tree preservation order relating to trees in 179181 Headley Road, Woodley. And the variation alters the species from sycamore to ash. So presumably whoever did the I've forgotten the word now, the tree report.
Yeah, it's true.
Didn't get it right. Okay.
Doesn't bode well for the future if they get that wrong.
Yes, no, it doesn't. No. No, it doesn't. Okay. Item 9. We're noting we have 2 vacant positions on the Cycling and Woodley Working Party. So we need to consider appointments to the vacant positions. This is following the death of John McNaught.
I can say, Chair, that the Conservative position, we haven't even started looking for an alternative. Speaking personally, I think it's a little bit too soon after his death to rush in.
Do you want me to just wait until you tell me that you want to put that on the agenda?
Please do.
I mean, I just added it on because I wanted to know about John. Yeah. But okay, I won't.
That's from my perspective anyway.
Okay. And I'm sure Carol will tell me if she wants to make an appointment to that working party as well. So I won't put it on the agenda again unless I hear from someone that you want to make an appointment. Okay.
You happy with that, Carol? Is that okay? Okay, super, thank you. Right, item 10. We need to consider Woking and Borough Council introducing waiting restrictions at the following locations. The entrance to Addington School, well, I think that's probably not an issue. In London Bridge Road, adjacent to and opposite the entrance to Miller's Grove. In Miller's Grove. In London Bridge Road, adjacent to and opposite the entrance to Addington Gardens. And at the western end of Nightingale Road, adjacent to the entrance to the electrical substation. Has anybody had a chance to look at those to make any comments? Carol?
On bullet points 2 and 3, my question was why. I couldn't see why that was an issue there, who was parking in Miller's Grove and why there should be nothing opposite the entrance. But I don't think we've got any more information. I think
I requested further information and twice, and I didn't receive a reply.
I thought you had, but so that was one query. And the western end of Nightingale Road by the electrical substation, that's where everybody parks for the station. And I don't know why they want to extend no parking at the point of the substation. It would be just as easy to put a keep clear on the road, so people didn't park there.
Yeah, they're talking about just adjacent to the entrance, aren't they? But you know, how long is the adjacent to the entrance, I suppose, is the issue.
It's very difficult to work it out from the maps that we had.
Okay.
It'll probably be a car's length, I would have thought, so that they people servicing the substation can park up, because otherwise, you know, it'd be difficult for them to get their access if they have to park half a mile down the road.
Okay, so are we going to be okay with those, or are we going to question the Miller's Grove ones?
Well, I can provide some input, Chair, on the Miller's Grove,
Right.
and it's Baker's Place, etc. The old Perslow's, I think it was the old Perslow's bakery there. Residents have consistently asked for yellow lines there because people do park up there, not just for half an hour or so, but all day. So they are quite plagued by long-term parking, and they've requested, oh, I know, for about at least 2 or 3 years now, to have some action taken. So I think that's the background to that. The one I thought was a bit interesting is the entrance to Addington School from Woodlands Avenue. Well, that road is unadopted. Okay, yeah. I know that because I've been trying to get it adopted for at least 6 or 7 years, which would force it into a maintenance regime. So what they're doing there is putting on yellow lines, double yellow lines, on a road that needs it. Don't get me wrong. I think it's absolutely the right thing to do, but they're doing it on a private road. Happens to be owned by WBC. Well, actually, it's not adopted by WBC. Just odd, but I do support it.
Okay. Carol?
I would like the comment to be made about the Nightingale Road one, because I think all it needs, I think it's a bit overkill to stop more parking there just for an access, which I don't think happens very often, but a keep clear sign, no parking painted on the road, I think would serve its purpose. And maybe if that doesn't work, then they could look at it again. But it's, you know, it's an area that people do use, and I think it would be taking 2 parking spaces on there would actually move parking into estate roads nearby.
Right.
So you'd prefer a keep clear sign just immediately outside the entrance?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that to make it absolutely crystal clear, what we are doing is objecting to those double yellow lines, because you can't, the way the system works, you know, you can't say we want something else, because what's in the legal document that they're consulting on is double yellow lines.
So it's very black and white, isn't it?
Can I object to the double yellow lines and then make a suggestion, or is there no point in doing that?
You can make a suggestion, but that suggestion is not going to happen for 6 months at least, probably longer. because the process, which apologies to ladies, stinks to high heaven, the process, you can't get things done other in cycles, and it's like every 6 months or 8 months. So you can request it now and it won't happen until 8 months time, or it just being considered, let alone happening. That's usually about another 6 months on from there.
In terms of Miller's Grove, I mean, by putting double yellow lines, is that going to cause a problem to the residents? Because then they're going to find their visitors have a problem parking.
The residents are asking. I've had dozens and dozens of requests. Many are repeat ones from residents who want it.
Okay.
So that will most of these will have been generated by residents.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes, I'm sure. It's just the danger I see is that people want double yellow lines, and then when they've got them, they suddenly realise their visitors can't park anywhere.
True.
So it's just the Nightingale Road one that we're
So
going
it
to.
sounds like it's just Nightingale Road.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Happy with that, everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Thank you. Okay. Item 11. Reading Borough Council consultation on the draft affordable housing document. So, you know, Reading Council have published a document for consultation, and that can be viewed at Reading Borough Council websites. Responses by the 13th of November. Do we need to take a response to that?
We don't normally. We usually just note.
We just note it.
Reading Borough Council is consulting unless it directly affects Woodley.
Yes. Okay.
Well, this will be for presumably new affordable housing, not existing stock, because Reading Borough Council has a large existing stock in Woodley, in the Bulmish area.
Carol?
Yes, I went through this from start to finish. It's a bit sad, isn't it, really? But I was just making sure that there wasn't anything that might impact us. And I sent you, Linda, my comments on the consultation. I wasn't sure whether that was going to be sent out to everybody. It really is just matters of interest rather than any sort of objections, because there isn't anything that affects Woodley. Just some of the definitions of affordable housing and some of the rules, which I thought may stand us in good stead if we, it's unlikely with our lack of land, but if we should have to make decisions on that, I thought we ought to see it. So
I can certainly send that round to the committee, Carol, if you would like me to do that for everyone to see.
Well, it's just of interest. People can open it if they want to, but yeah.
Okay.
Yes, please, Linda. I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And thank you, Carol.
Yes, thanks, Carol. Yeah. So okay, so we'll put that down as noted. And then the item 12 is publications and information, and I think the connecting communities in Berkshire and the link visiting scheme I think has been circulated. So hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to look at that. Okay, so can we move on? Item 13, future agenda items. Councillor Nagra.
Yeah, Chairman, I have one question. It's in early town council, whenever any planning application is submitted, early town council is informing all borough councillors of early area. And when early town council is deciding something like outcome of that planning application, it's again informing all borough councils of early area. So is it possible to have same practice in Woodley? Because if borough councillors are informed, they can update residents and then they can pursue that application in Wokingham. It's already done in one town council.
I think applications are normally available to all councillors, borough councillors as well as town councillors, aren't they, Keith? I think.
All applications are sent to borough councillors of the ward it's in. So, for instance, I get visibility of every single application in Coronation Ward. Your three Labour members in Bulmish and Whitegates get notified of every planning application already in Bulmish and Whitegates. So that already happens. I'm not sure what you're looking for. I'm obviously misunderstanding, because what you're asking for is already happening.
No, I'm just pointing out that it's done by early town council. So obviously same thing is happening in early as well. but they are just informing their borough councillors in that early area about those applications, so that when residents contact their borough councillors, they can update them that this is outcome from early town council. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
It's happening in that town council. So it's just a suggestion.
Yeah, I think it happens already.
Yeah,
I
it
think
does.
it happens already. Yeah. Okay. Carol?
Chairman, I don't think it does. I think what Councillor Nag was suggesting is that when we make our observations, we copy those to the borough councillors, so that if anything arises, they know what the town council felt or objected, didn't object, etc. Is that right, Councillor Nagra?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because what's discussed in town council, because same thing is done by early town council, whatever they are doing, they are updating their borough councillors of that process.
I think we need to think about the practicality of that, because it is asking the committee chairman, sorry, the committee officer, to separate them all out, to identify which ward they're in. I could see it could work if the committee officer sends the whole lot to every single borough councillor, because that we have to think about the pressure on time of our officers. They're pretty stretched already, so that's the only way I think it would work, is that, for instance, Linda then would send whatever she's just been making notes on all these to every single Woodley borough councillor.
I could send the observations appendix that goes in the minutes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I from the work I do already, I don't know which ward each of the applications is in. I'm not saying I couldn't find it out, but I don't actually know. We don't consider them. We don't list which ward they're in. But I could send that appendix, that observations appendix, to all the Woodley borough councillors, and they would have that information. They could look it up if they needed it.
Yeah, if you send it as a whole, because every borough councillor knows which area is in his or her ward, so they can judge from that easily. They can see it from easily. Obviously, for you, it's difficult to divide it into 3 or 4 different sections.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that quite often, quite a few of our planning applications, the deadline for comments has already been exceeded by the time we have our meeting. So we'd be sending, I have to request an extension from Wokingham Borough Council, because obviously applications are coming in all the time and you have a sort of a period of 3 or 4 weeks to comment on them. Well, because our meetings are every 4 weeks, there's always some applications that are past the deadline by this evening, but when we come to look at them. So by the time I've produced the minutes and sent them out, they're already, if the borough councillors wanted to act on something that we were saying, they'd have to be aware that some of the comments are already past the deadline.
And the reality, Councillor Nagra, is the way it works. And I'll use Bill Soane, for instance, as an example. The borough councillor gets notification quite early on that there is a planning application. They get the full details, in terms of the address and the application number. Borough councillors generally don't do anything. They don't react to it until a resident, and it only needs to be one single resident, contacts them. And believe me, if it's not a very good application, residents do contact the borough councillor. The borough councillor then, as with Bill, for instance, in the Hudson Road, Councillor Soane on the Hudson Road, what they then do is list it. They don't wait to see what the town council thinks. They actually listen, in his case, to probably about a dozen different residents who live in that area, okay? And then he lists it. What happens later is when it goes to the committee then has 3 minutes from the borough councillor, 3 minutes from a town councillor, and 3 minutes from a resident. Okay, so that's the way it works. The borough councillors are driven by residents, because if no residents contacted the borough councillor, yet we as a town council said we disagree with it, I can guarantee the borough councillor isn't going to do anything about it, because their link is directly with the residents affected, not necessarily with us. I just hope that helps explaining the process and what happens. If you talk to your colleagues, Shirley, Carl and Andy, talk to them and they will confirm exactly what I've just been saying.
Okay.
So am I to do anything with this?
No, I don't think so. You happy, Councillor Nagra?
No, yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
I had that idea and I shared my opinion. There is another opinion, so that's fine, no problem.
Okay, so I won't change what I do at the moment.
No.
Okay.
Because we tend to work by default. So if we think that there's an issue, then we will raise it through the borough councillor. Okay. Where are we? Back on the agenda. Item 14 is publicity and website. Is there anything that we think needs to be published at the moment? No? Okay. Then we move on to item 15, which is enforcement issues, which should be on pages 25 and 26 of your documents. So notifications is 118 Drovers Way, unauthorised loft conversion. 69 Colemansmore Road, development not in accordance with approved plans. 27 Pitford Road, unauthorised sign blocking the pathway. Sandford Farm, Mohawk Way, breach of conditions attached to two planning applications. I don't know what they were. 65 Quinton Road, unauthorised large deep excavations at the front of the dwelling.
They're trying to escape.
Yeah.
Tunnel.
It's a trap for all these illegally parked cars, I think. And then enforcement closures. 92 Rochester Avenue, no breach. Bullmarsh Campus, condition about landscaping not planted, no breach. Seems a bit odd. 34 Ravensbourne Drive, commercial use of a skip, voluntary compliance. 21 Master Close, unauthorised car sales, no breach. 20 Campbell Road, unauthorised garage and extension following refusal of planning application, no breach. I'll come back to you in a second, Carol. 8 Armstrong Way, driveway not in accordance with plans, not expedient. 64 Headley Road, built not in accordance with approved plans, application submitted. This is to do with the cladding, isn't it, onto the front and the roof. And 46 Woodlands Avenue, roof not in accordance with approved plans. Sorry, Carol, did you want to go back over something?
Yeah, no, it was just an observation, really. Ravensbourne, no. Master Close, unauthorised, blah, 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 no breach. Second one, unauthorised garage and extension, no breach. Driveway not in accordance with approved plans. And you start to wonder why they're looking at these enforcement if it's against the planning application that was agreed and there has been a breach or it's unauthorised, but they're considering no breach. So we can't do anything about it, I suppose, but I just wanted to make that observation.
Could it be that whoever has raised the matter is saying it's unauthorised, and when it's been investigated, they're finding that it's not? It's not unauthorised.
I don't know.
So they're saying there's
that is usually the explanation. That usually is the explanation, is that the person who's reported it has got it wrong.
One of the concerns I would have is the landscaping one at Bullmarsh Campus. Trees and shrubs not planted, but presumably there's been some changes to the overall plan, which has resulted.
Not necessarily, Chair. It could be that the person or people who complained were expecting more.
Well, they could have misunderstood the drawings. They could have misunderstood the plans. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You know, it's
okay.
expectation of people are usually quite significantly
Right.
higher than what's going to happen.
Okay. Okay, so
Can I just say-
sorry.
Can I just say, Chair, it's interesting, 8 Armstrong Way, not expedient, that's the one we've just been looking at.
Mm.
So
Yes.
actually,
Submitted an application.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes,
not
'cause that's-
expedient, for those of you who are not aware, basically means that the breach is considered to be not significant enough to progress it.
Yes,
So
this
it's not
is-
expedient to progress. Now,
Is it-
obviously, the owner has decided to submit an application. All credit to the owner, because then it's clean. And if they want to sell on, it's clean.
Yes, okay. Right, so no more comments. So that, I think, completes the agenda. So I declare the meeting open. Over. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you, Philip.
Linda,
Yeah.
Linda,
Yep.
can we get Kevin to organise something with Jenny to try and sort out her issue?
Yeah.
Because, you know, bless her, she tried,
Yeah.
what, 3 times, 4 times?
Yeah.
I don't think
I
this
have
is
to
the
say-
first time either, is it? Hasn't she had problems
No,
before when
she
she's
had
been
she had a
looking?
problem at the last meeting, but she seemed to be able to resolve it because she did join eventually, and it was okay.
Right.
But if you can get Kevin to
Yeah.
talk to her, talk it through, because no members of the committee should be disbarred or whatever, you know,
Just,
have a
just
problem.
yeah,
We
Yeah.
need them all.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Then.
Good. Okay, thank you.